This is Lisa Dickinson, Garden Girl at 2 Peas in a Bucket, with this week's Scene Double video. Today I'll be showing you how I used papers from an American Crafts 6x6 paper pad on both a layout and a tag. You can find lots of these smaller paper pads from several manufacturers in the 2 Peas store, and they're really a time saver because the patterns and colors are already coordinated for you, so you don't have to waste time trying to select individual papers to use on your layouts. To start, I've printed 3 photos of my son with his pet Gecko. The lighting in these photos was not that great, so I ran them through the Adrian Lumen Dreamy Photoshop action that's available in the 2 Peas digital store before I printed them, and it lightened them up and softened them a little bit. I often use Photoshop actions to fix less than perfect photos, and I will list some of my favorite ones in the supplies below. Because of the colors in my photos, I have chosen a paper pad from American Crafts XOXO line that has lots of reds and pinks and grays. I plan on journaling about my son's love for his pet, so the Valentine's motif is perfect. I'm just going to pull out some papers to see how they look with my photos. Because the scale of the patterns on these 6x6 papers is smaller than a 12x12, you can really use a lot of them together without it looking too busy. I've actually got 7 of them here that I think I'm going to incorporate into a striped background. I'm just going to pull out a couple options for my cardstock. I've got a white and then a lighter silver, and I think I'm going to try like a medium gray here. I'm thinking the white is probably a little bit too light, but I kind of like this medium one in the middle. So I think I'm going to use that for my base right now and start building my design on that. Since the papers are only 6 inches wide and I want them to span across most of my background, I'll cut 2 strips about 1.5 inches wide from each of the patterns. Then I'm going to overlap them to make a longer strip that's about 8.5 inches long. I've arranged the stripes from lightest to darkest to form an ombre effect and left a border of cardstock around the edge of that design. Now I'm just going to place my photos how I think I'm going to arrange them over here on the left side of the page. Now it's time to think about my journaling and where I'm going to put that. I've grabbed some journaling cards from the Elle Studio You and Me collection, which work really well with the American Crafts papers. I have a good amount of journaling to include, so I need a larger tag that has a bit more room. I'm thinking that I might write my journaling on this tabbed card and then maybe slide it in behind one of the stripes. So I've written my journaling in pencil and I will go over it later with pen. And now I think I'm ready to work on my title. I've grabbed some of these thin chipboard letters. They're from the Basic Gray True Love line. And I'm going to use them to spell out the word gecko. Then I've put some dark gray thickers on top of my clear ruler to see how that looks on the page. And I like how the dark gray really contrasts with the other page colors. It's making me think about switching up the background cardstock. This is why I never adhere anything until the very end. This darker background color really makes the colors in the pattern papers pop, and it gives the page a more masculine feel. And it was kind of a happy accident, but I find that I'm liking the tilted arrangement of the stripes that happened when I switched out the cardstock. The tilt gives the page a little more energy, and I'm really liking that. Quite often I'll add machine stitching to my pages because I love the subtle texture that it adds. But for this page, the stitching also serves to connect the 2 strips of paper that I used for each stripe. If you're not into sewing on your pages, you could totally skip this step and just adhere the 2 pieces together, or you could add your stitching in with a pin. So now I'm ready to start assembling the design. I'm just going to use adhesive on the ends of each strip and not in the middle. That way I'll be able to slip my journaling tag in behind the stripes. Now that I've got my photos in place, I realize the red stripe at the bottom is a perfect place for my title. So rather than stack it up like I envisioned earlier, I've opted to keep it on one line. This #2 fabric brad is from Basic Gray, and I'm going to use it to connect my two title fonts. So it will spell out "A Gecko to Love." At this point, I think the page is about ready to embellish, so I've collected some chipboard elements and fabric tags from the Basic Gray True Love line, as well as some small circle tags from Elle Studio. I'm adding one of the fabric tags next to my title, and then I'm going to slide my journaling card into place. Since the journaling is going to be hidden, I want to add some embellishments around that tab just to draw attention to it so it doesn't get lost. I'm going to add this little circle Elle Studio tag as well as a little pink chipboard heart. Then I think the area above the top photo is a little bit bare, so I'm going to line up some chipboard, just some smaller pieces up there. I'll try this little chipboard button and maybe some hearts that tie into the love theme. And I'm actually thinking that I want to do 3 of all the same element. So yeah, I'm going to line up all 3 hearts. So you'll notice my embellishment clusters now form a visual triangle, and they help to lead the eye all around the page. With everything adhered down, I've added one more finishing touch of a stitched border around the edge of my cardstock. I like how the white thread defines the area of my design and contrasts with the dark gray background. I've also added in small spans of zigzag stitching on 3 sides of the border to form one more visual triangle within the design. Here's a look at the completed page. Now I'm going to create a quick and easy tag using scraps from the same American Crafts pad. I'm starting with a basic manila shipping tag, and I'll adhere these 1-inch strips of pattern papers from the lightest to the darkest down the front of the tag. Then I'll trim off any of the strips that hang over the edge of the tag using a ruler and a craft knife. And don't forget to re-punch the hole at the top of the tag. I've added some zigzag stitching between each stripe on my tag, but again, this is a totally optional step. You could add it with pen or you could skip it altogether. I just wanted to add a little bit of texture. Next, I'm going to add some chipboard letters, and these came out of the same package of Basic Gray chipboard shapes that I used on the layout, and I'm going to spell out the word love. Then as a final step, I'm just going to add a bright pink ribbon through the hole at the top of the tag and tie it in a bow. I'll trim off the ends, and here's a look at the completed tag. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Seeing Double and have seen how easy a mini paper pad can make your product selection process. Having multiple patterns and colors of paper at your fingertips can make your designs come together quickly and easily. For more information on this and other 2Ps videos, please visit www.2psinabucket.com and click on the video tab.